never, never talk to the police. They'll say, but you're not under investigation, or we just want to clear things up, or we just want to hear your side of the story, and now is the time to tell us. Okay. And then when you decide to do that, you have now opened doors to get yourself convicted, even if you're innocent. So let's take a look at this. The good news is that you have the freedom of choice, like Devo said. You can pick one or the other. You can pick and choose to disregard your constitutional rights, or maybe you could follow the wisdom of the geniuses that were our founding fathers and realize those Bill of Rights are there for a reason. Did you know that the cops can lie to you in order to get you to confess to a crime, even one you didn't commit? Yeah, they can. It's legal. It's legal. It's just part of the way to extract information. And cops are experts at extracting information. Let's think about what they say when they give you the Miranda warning. Anything you say can and will be used against you, not used to help you, used against you. And you have to understand that police have become quite sophisticated at getting information. And they already have the premise that you're guilty, at least maybe only 99.9% of the time. They also look at their role as a wing of the prosecutor. They'll say, we're just here to investigate, or they'll get you by not even saying that they're investigating anything other than to simply ask you questions. Or they could say, you're not under investigation, Mr. Darcy. We just want your side of the story. Could you help fill in some details for us? Okay. And then when you open your mouth and you say something that is untrue, even if you're not trying to lie, you just said it wrong, you've now created suspicion that didn't exist before. Let's take a famous example from the movie I, Cousin Vinny. Let's watch. Now, Ralph Macchio thinks he's being accused of stealing a candy bar. They haven't said that. They keep talking about it, and you know why you're here. He doesn't realize they're talking about a murder, but he's about to find out after he's already spoken to them. And this shows what happens when the cops get it wrong.
You paid for the groceries. And then what?
We went out to the car, and that's it.
When'd you shoot him?
What?
At what point did you shoot the clerk?
I shot the clerk.
Yes, when did you shoot him?
I shot the clerk.
Hey, Dean, we need you out here. I'm in the middle of a damn confession here.
Whoa! Wait a minute!
I asked him if he did it, and he said, I shot the clerk. I asked him again. And again he said, I shot the clerk.
Your Honor, no further questions.
Now, let's talk about what happens when you do speak to them and you give them a statement that isn't true. Then they come up to you later and they show you a hotel receipt that you booked into some hotel in Orange County. And they say, well, we asked you if you were in Orange County on that day. And you said, no, look, here's a receipt. Oh, now your defense attorney, besides the fact that he's going to be mad at you, has to now explain this away, that there was no lying on your part. It was just a simple mistake. Or let's say this. You say that you were not in Orange County on July 15th. And the cop is listening and he writes it down and he says he was in Orange County on July 15th. And that's what goes in the police report. Well, now you've got another problem because the cop wrote it down wrong. Police report with a mistake in it causes more trouble for you. Let's talk about the presumption of innocence. Under our system, which is an adversarial system, the idea is that the truth will emerge through the clash of lies. You have a presumption of innocence. It's the state's burden to prove that you're guilty. You don't even have to take the stand. And I've had cases where the defendant didn't take the stand. And figured that the state didn't meet its burden, wouldn't have to testify. And the judge has to tell the jury, look, you cannot make an inference of guilt simply because the defendant didn't testify in his defense. He doesn't have to testify. It's not his burden to prove his innocence. It's their burden to prove that he's guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. The cops will tell you, this looks bad on you. You're not cooperating with us. You're not trying to give us your side of the story so we can clear this up. And it's not going to look good for the judge. It's not going to look good to the prosecutor. Well, ultimately, the decision makers are not the cops. It's the jury, unless you have waived a jury trial and it's the judge. And the judge is not going to say, well, he refused to testify, therefore I'm going to find him guilty. That's not how it works. It's a presumption as well in the back of a person's mind, but it can be rebutted with evidence. And, your lawyer doesn't have to put you on the stand. Your lawyer can simply get the information that you need through the other witnesses so that you don't testify. The next thing I want to talk about is what you say will be used against you, especially when they just suddenly show up at your door. You don't have to talk to them. When they show up to your door, they don't have a warrant. You just simply politely say, I'm not answering your questions. And remember, they've got body cam on usually. I'm not answering your questions, and you'll speak to my lawyer, but not me. And then politely close the door. Do not go outside your house. If you go outside your house, you could then be arrested because you're no longer in the confines and protection of your house. If they don't have a warrant, they can't come into your house to arrest you, except for some very, very unusual circumstances. Another thing is that when you open your door under the plain sight rule, the police can see beyond you. If they see any contraband or drugs or whatever, well, then you've really created a problem for yourself in plain sight. It's up for grabs for them. The next thing to think about is that you really can't persuade them that you're innocent. And they're looking to dig information out of you, and they will do it through a bunch of open-ended, friendly questions. If you go to a police station because they ask you to come down to the station, you need to ask, am I under arrest? Am I being detained? Am I free to leave? And if they say, oh, yeah, you're free to leave, we're just here talking to you, you would not want to be there answering any of their questions. When you walk into a police interview, understand that it is an interrogation. An interview is a friendly way of putting it, but it's an interrogation. And like I've shown in my other videos, you'll have a chair up against the wall in the corner, unable to, you'll feel mentally trapped. And when they say, do you wish to waive your rights? No, I do not want to waive my rights. And here's the important point to remember. You have the Fifth Amendment right to say nothing. But do you have the capability of saying nothing? Because a lot of times people think, well, if I talk now, I won't be arrested and taken into jail, so might as well talk now. You know what? It's a decision for you to make, but I would rather take the arrest and say nothing and make bond and get out than to open my mouth, maybe make statements that are wrong or statements that could add to the suspicion and find myself arrested anyway and still in jail. It's their job to build the case against you, not your job to build your case against yourself. The Fifth Amendment also has limits at times. When you're in a cell block, when you're in the back of a squad car, you have to always expect that there are cameras rolling, even secret cameras. They love to get people in the back of a squad car confessing. When you're in an interrogation room, they'll leave. And they leave for a while because you're by yourself and you might start opening up and saying things that would incriminate you because you think you're all alone when you're actually being watched. The police interrogation tactics, I have them here on my channel. And, I give you my spin on things, or detectives call me. The client actually invoked the Fifth Amendment. And they're calling me because they can't speak to him without my permission. And I said, look, he's got nothing to say to you. Yeah, I know. And they all kind of chuckle. I know, but I thought at least I'd call you. And here's one last thing to think about. Anytime a police officer is in trouble, accused of a crime, with rare exceptions, they shut up and they lawyer up. They take full advantage of their constitutional rights. Hope this video was helpful to you.